Welcome back to the deep dive. We have a stack of sources today that, I'll be honest, looked a little deceptive at first glance. On the surface, it looks like we're talking about video games.
Which we are.
We are, yeah. But then you peel back a layer, and we're talking about the history of science. And then you peel back another layer, and suddenly we are staring right into the void of artificial intelligence and asking if it can, ever truly understand the human mind.
It really is a nesting doll of a topic. We're looking at a meta-analysis, which is usually where eyes start to glaze over, but this one it's like a grudge match.
A grudge match. I like that.
It is. It's a showdown between a human expert and ChatGPT to see who can better interpret the why behind scientific research.
Specifically, we are unpacking a paper from 2025. It's titled Citation Context Analysis, Evaluating Human versus AI Annotations in Gameplay Bricks Research. It's by Marc Bertin, Julian Alvarez, and Thierry Lafouge.
And the central question is one that honestly keeps me up at night. We know AI can process information. We know it can summarize text. But can it understand the epistemic culture of a field?
Epistemic culture.
Can it understand the subtle, sometimes passive-aggressive way scientists talk to each other in their papers?
I love that term. It sounds like a secret society.
In a way, every scientific field is a secret society. They have their own language, their own rules of engagement, and their own way of, throwing shade. And that is what this study put to the test.
Okay, so to do that, they needed a subject, a control group, I guess. And they chose a model called Gameplay Bricks, which was created way back in 2006 by Julian Alvarez and Demian Jowdy.
Right. And to understand the AI experiment, we first have to understand what these bricks even are. Back in the mid-2000s, the study of video games ludology was kind of the Wild West.
Right.
People knew games were fun, but they didn't have a really rigorous scientific way to explain how they worked.
You couldn't just write a PhD thesis saying Mario is cool because he jumps high.
Exactly. Not if you wanted to pass. You needed a taxonomy. So Alvarez and Jowdy proposed deconstructing video games into their atomic elements. They called them gameplay bricks.
The Lego analogy is just jumping right out at you there.
It's the perfect analogy. The idea is that every video game, no matter how complex, is built out of these fundamental blocks: a shoot brick, a jump brick, and a void block, a manage resources brick.
So something like Grand Theft Auto and, say, Tetris are made of the same plastic, just arranged differently.
Precisely. And the primary goal of this model wasn't just to categorize fun. It was to solve a real business problem. They needed a way to distinguish serious games from standard entertainment.
Serious games. It still sounds like an oxymoron to me.
It does, but it's a huge industry. You've got games for training surgeons, games for teaching math, games for corporate HR.
Oh, right.
And if you're a hospital administrator, you need to know if the game you're buying is actually educational or if it's just a shooter with a math quiz pasted on top.
I see. So if you map the bricks, you can see the DNA. You can see if the structure is actually built for learning or if it's just for, dopamine.
Exactly. So that's the model. 2006. The study we're diving into today tracks how that model was cited over the next decade, from 2008 to 2018. They wanted to see how this idea traveled through the scientific community.
And it traveled far. This wasn't just some niche idea that died on a shelf.
No, it had legs. The data shows it appeared in 47 scientific articles and 40 PhD theses. But what's really cool is the diversity. It started in computer science, obviously, half the citations, but then it migrated.
I saw that. It ended up in education, art, information sciences, and even health and management.
And it crossed borders. We're talking citations in English, French, Spanish, Korean, Russian.
Which, spoiler alert, is going to become a major plot point when we bring the robot in.
A massive plot point. But before we get to the AI, we have to establish the truth. The researchers needed a gold standard to compare the AI against. So they brought in the ultimate expert, Julian Alvarez.
The creator himself.
The creator. He sat down and he read every single paper that cited his work over that 10-year period. And he wasn't just counting them, he was analyzing the intent.
This is the human analysis part of the showdown.
Yeah.
So what exactly was he looking for?
He categorized every citation into 3 main buckets. First, you have neutral.
That's the classic I acknowledge this exists citation.
Right. Alvarez, 2006, proposed a model. Simple. Moving on.
And then there's appropriation.
This is where it gets exciting. Appropriation means the researcher didn't just mention the model, they used it. They took the bricks and they built something new. And the examples Alvarez found are just wild.
Okay, I want to dig into these because they really show how flexible this idea was.
Yeah.
There was one from 2009 by Delgado Mata that I made a note of. They were using the bricks for physical therapy.
Yes, specifically for children's motor skills. This is a classic type 1 appropriation, using the model to design. Imagine you need a kid to practice extending their arm and gripping something. That's boring exercise. But if you gamify it,
Suddenly they're reaching for a star or avoiding a goblin.
exactly. The researchers used the gameplay bricks almost like a checklist. They selected bricks like move, avoid, and reach to ensure the game mechanics forced the specific physical movements the therapy required. They reverse engineered the fun to get a medical outcome.
That is so cool. And then on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, you have Marion Coville in 2011. She wasn't building a game, she was deconstructing society.
This is type 2 inspiring methodologies. Coville used the classification system to study gender representation. She looked at the bricks assigned to female characters versus male characters in games.
Let me guess. The dude's got all the attack bricks.
Often, yes. She analyzed the rules. Do female characters get weight or support bricks while the males get drive and shoot? She used the taxonomy to expose the gender bias that's hard-coded right into the game mechanics.
That is a massive pivot from motor skills. It shows the model is really a tool for thinking, not just for coding.
Absolutely. And there's one more I have to mention, Gail Gilson in 2016. He was studying informal learning. He essentially asked, if a kid plays a game, are they secretly learning project management?
Okay, so what did he do?
He taught the kids the gameplay bricks model itself.
Right.
He asked the young gamers to identify the bricks they were using while they played.
So he made the subjects of the experiment become the researchers.
In a way, yes. It was a metacognitive experiment. He wanted to see if the players were aware of the systems they were manipulating. That's type 4 designing experiments.
So we have humans using these bricks to heal kids, critique the patriarchy, and test intelligence. That covers appropriation. But then there's the third bucket, the one that causes all the trouble.
Criticism.
The spicy bucket.
The spicy bucket, yeah.
Now, when I hear criticism, I think of a bad Yelp review. 1 star, gameplay was repetitive. But that's not what we're talking about here, is it?
No, not at all. In academia, criticism is a sign of respect. It means your idea is worth fighting about. Alvarez actually identified 8 distinct types of criticism in the dataset.
8. That seems incredibly specific.
It is, and this is crucial for the AI comparison later. For example, type 1 criticism was misuse of prop.
Vladimir Prop, the Russian guy who analyzed folktales.
The very same. He broke down Russian fairy tales into these core functions. The hero leaves home, the donor gives a magical gift, and so on. The gameplay bricks model borrowed some of that structuralist theory.
And people got mad about it.
Mad might be too strong, but they definitely disagreed. Some researchers argued that Alvarez applied props' narrative functions incorrectly to interactive media. They said, you can't just treat a game level like a fairy tale chapter. That is a highly technical, nuanced, theoretical disagreement.
Okay, so that's deep in the academic weeds. What about something broader?
Type 5, missing meaning bricks. This was a common one. Critics argued that the model was too mechanical. It focused so much on the verbs jump, shoot, run, that it ignored the nouns and the emotions.
It missed the why.
Exactly. It missed the story, the atmosphere, the feeling. Critics basically said, your bricks are great for building a skeleton, but where is the soul?
So if I'm reading a paper that says, while Alvarez provides a robust taxonomy of mechanics, the exclusion of narrative bricks limits its utility in RPG analysis.
To a human, that is clearly a criticism. It's polite, it's academic, but it is absolutely pointing out a fundamental flaw. It's saying, this model is incomplete.
And that nuance, that polite, I respect you, but you're wrong, is what we're about to test.
Precisely. So the stage is set. We have the human expert, Alvarez, who has read all these papers and labeled them with this incredible depth. Now, enter the challenger.
A machine. The researchers decided to feed all of these papers, citations, context, and all into ChatGPT. But they didn't just copy-paste the PDFs, right? There was more to it.
No, you can't just feed raw PDFs into an LLM and expect magic. PDFs are messy. You've got columns, footnotes, images. It just confuses the model. So first they used a tool called Grobid.
Which sounds like a creature you'd find in a dungeon in one of these games. Grobid the Destroyer.
It really does. It actually stands for Generation of Bibliographic Data. It's a specialized machine learning tool that strips the text out of scientific documents and organizes it. It finds the title, the abstract, and most importantly for this, the citations.
So they scrub the data, Then they started talking to ChatGPT.
Right, they used prompt engineering, and they were very deliberate about it. They used a technique called few-shot learning.
We hear that term a lot in tech circles. Can you break it down for us?
Sure. Ideally, you want an AI to understand a task just by being told what to do. That's called zero shot. But for something complex like this, that usually fails. So few shot means you give the AI a few examples. You say, here's a text, this counts as appropriation. Here's another text, this counts as criticism. Now look at this third text and tell me what it is.
It's like showing a toddler flashcards. This is a cat, this is a dog, now what is this?
Exactly. And they combine that with chain of thought prompting. They asked the AI to explain its reasoning. They didn't just want the label, they wanted the logic. Why do you think this is a criticism?
Right, it forces the model to slow down, essentially, and process the steps.
Yes, it helps reduce hallucinations. So they had the best tools, the best prompts, the best data, but they hit a massive wall almost immediately.
The language barrier.
The multilingual gap. Remember, the gameplay bricks traveled. They went to Korea, Spain, Russia. ChatGPT handled the English and French papers reasonably well, but when it encountered Persian, Thai, or Korean, it just fell apart.
The source mentions segmentation issues. What is that?
It means the AI couldn't even tell where the citation stopped and the next sentence began. It would blend the author's own opinion with the quoted text. It just didn't have enough training data to understand the academic phrasing in those languages.
So right off the bat, the human has the advantage of either knowing the language or just knowing how to use Google Translate effectively within context.
Or calling a colleague who does. The AI was stuck. But for the papers it could read, mostly the English and French ones, how did it do?
Let's go to the scoreboard. Human versus machine, who won?
Well, it's kind of a split decision. The AI won on scalability, hands down. It can read 1,000 papers in the time it takes Alvarez to drink a coffee, and it was very good at what the researchers call the broad strokes.
What does that mean exactly?
It means it was good at the obvious stuff. If a paper said the gameplay bricks model is defined as, the AI nailed it. That's a definition. If a paper said, we use the gameplay bricks to build this game, the AI correctly identified appropriation.
So if you just want to know, is my model being used or is my model famous? The AI is a great tool.
Yes, it correctly identified that the model is widely adopted. If you just want the big picture, am I popular, the AI works pretty well.
Oh, there's a big but coming.
There is. It failed on the nuance. Specifically, it struggled to separate neutrality from criticism, and this is the critical gap.
This goes back to that polite academic insult we were talking about earlier.
Exactly. The AI would often look at a critical paragraph and tag it as neutral, or even just definition. It saw whereas gameplay bricks, and it saw a description, but it missed the negation. It missed the shade.
Can you give me an example of how that kind of mix-up happens?
Sure. Take the missing meaning bricks criticism. A paper might write, Alvarez defines gameplay bricks as the functional elements of a game. However, this definition excludes narrative structures. The AI reads that first half Alvarez defines and thinks, aha, this is a definition.
It misses the however.
It stops listening after the compliment. In a way, yes. It misses the rhetorical turn. Remember, the human expert found those 8 distinct types of criticism, the specific disagreements about prop, about subjectivity, about classification. The AI couldn't reliably categorize those subtleties at all. It just flattened the entire conversation.
It turned a debate into a data point.
That's perfectly put, and this brings us to the epistemic implication.
Epistemic, relating to knowledge itself.
The study references something called social systems citation theory. This is the idea that citations aren't just links in a database. They are social acts. They are conversations.
So when I cite you, I'm not just pointing to your paper. I'm signaling something about our relationship in the field.
You might be bowing to a mentor. You might be arming yourself with a tool to fight someone else. You might be dismantling a rival. A citation can be a sword, a shield, or a handshake. And to a human expert who knows the field, that intent is obvious. You know who hates who. You know the history of the whole debate about narrative versus mechanics.
But the AI doesn't have the gossip.
It doesn't have the culture. It doesn't have the shared history. It just has the text. And without that cultural context, it misses the meaning.
So if we rely on AI to summarize science for us, we might think everyone agrees on a topic, simply because the AI missed all the subtle disagreements.
That is the danger. We risk losing the criticism in the noise. If we view science through the lens of an LLM, we might see a smooth consensus that doesn't actually exist. We miss the friction. And as we know, friction is where progress happens. You need the disagreement to refine ideas.
So what is the verdict? I mean, the paper doesn't just say AI is trash, throw it out.
No, quite the opposite. They propose a hybrid future, and it makes a lot of sense. Use the AI for what it's good at, grunt work.
Let the Goblin, Grobit, and ChatGPT scan the 10,000 PDFs.
Let them filter out the irrelevant stuff. Let them find all the definitions and the clear-cut appropriations. That saves the human researcher months, maybe years of reading. But then the human expert has to step in.
The human handles the criticism and the controversy.
Exactly. The AI builds the reading list, the human does the reading. Specifically, the human reads the papers the AI flagged as complex or ambiguous. The human focuses on understanding how the field is evolving, while the AI just tracks how much it is growing.
It's a specialized role. The AI is the archivist. The human is the interpreter.
I think that's the future of research. It reinforces that interpretive depth is still a uniquely human skill. We understand irony. We understand reluctance. We understand when someone is damning with faint praise.
It really brings us full circle to the gameplay bricks. We started by deconstructing video games to see if they were for fun or for learning. Now we're deconstructing citations to see if they are for agreement or for argument.
And just like you can't automate the experience of playing a game, you have to actually feel the controller in your hand to know if it's fun. You can't fully automate the understanding of a scientific debate. You have to feel the weight of the arguments.
It leaves me with a thought about our own consumption of information. I mean, we are all using these tools more and more to summarize meetings, emails, news articles for us.
We are. It's convenient. It saves a lot of time.
But it makes you wonder, if an AI summarizes your life's work, or even just your favorite book, it might get all the facts 100% correct. It will list the dates, the names, the key events. It will tell you who the characters were.
But will it capture the soul of it?
Will it understand the criticism you faced along the way? Will it understand the passion behind the arguments? Or are we destined to have our bricks counted, but our architecture completely misunderstood?
That is the question. We might get efficiency, but we have to be very, very careful not to sacrifice understanding.
That's something to think about next time you hit summarize on a document. As always, thank you for listening. Keep digging deep.
Until next time.